Good evening. This is Carla Nelson Chambers with Conference Room Conversations. As always, I am here with my good friend and co-host, not cohort, Michelle Howard. I want to say happy Ash Wednesday to those of you who are Christians and celebrating the Lenten season. For those of you who are not, it's okay. Happy March 2nd. Happy Women's History Month. And it's a good weather day as we are entering the third month of the year already. And it's
Yes,
the last month of the first quarter. So there's a lot of, things that are popping up in this first week. And so
it
we just want
definitely is.
to, and so we want to acknowledge all of those first days or what have you. So welcome to the channel, whether you are here with us live tonight or if you are looking at the recording at a later time. We do recognize that a lot of our friends are at their places of worship celebrating Ash Wednesday. So we want to just, give acknowledgement to that. And with that, because we are talking on Ash Wednesday, we are talking about the Lenten season. Many people will say, okay, 40 days, I can't have ice cream, I can't have chocolate, I can't have liquor or wine or whatever. I got to give up something. And in my practice and what I have learned is sometimes it's not about what you give up. Sometimes it's what you incorporate into your life so that it can be new and sustainable for the long run. And what I mean by that is this could be a time where you decide, I want to change habits. I want to change attitudes. I want to look at, have a better outlook on things. And I'm going to use this opportunity to transform and to refine. I also say that because I had a beautiful conversation with a friend of mine, and she said this morning, and she called me to say, I just needed to hear from my girl Carla. She said I needed a little Carla time because I ended up starting speaking into her life, and I said, I'm sorry, I don't mean to do it. She goes, no, 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 I want you to. That's why I called you. I said, okay, because she said, I'm going to church tonight. I'm going to get my ashes. And I know this is going to be a time of testing. And I said, no, we're not going to say testing. We're going to say a time of transformation because the words that we say have meaning. And we don't want to be tested. I said, because let's just say you quote, say you're tested and then you fail, you quote, fail the test. That's not encouraging. And that's not allowing you to be your better self. But if you're transforming, through that transformation process, it's gonna be some ups and downs, but it's part of the transformation, and it's okay. And she goes, I like that. So this is the night that we're going to discuss those things to help us be a better person. If you want to honor, I'm not going to say so much honor Lent because again, I'm very sensitive to the various types of people that are watching our program. But I will say, if you would like to use this season to make changes in your life as it relates to your business, your career path, or your personal life, now's the time to do it. And even if you didn't want to talk about Lent, we're in what the weather people call spring. It's not quote spring. We're still in the winter season, but
We are transitioning.
Yes, to meteorologists, they said yesterday was the first day of spring from their whole calendar when they're looking at things. And we also know that this is the time where it's warm one day and it's cold the next. It's rainy the next, and it's like, what's today gonna? I literally look at my phone. What's the weather gonna be like today? Because it can change and from day to day to day. And again, the earth is even transforming and changing. So why not human beings? Because we are part of the earth.
So this is a good time.
This is a good time
for people to think about what transition looks like for them. If they want to take on new things, get rid of some things. This is a time for, how you say, self-evaluation.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Self-evaluation. And there's nothing wrong with it. Yes.
Right. We have check off lists for so many things. Sometimes it's good to develop our own personal checkoff list just to see if we're keeping up with it.
With us.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing today? How am I feeling?
Yes.
And especially we as women, we're always, like you said, we have those checkoff lists for everybody else except for our inner being. And
Right.
it's so important. And also, by this being Women's History Month, it's a good time to do some self-reflection. And I know, Michelle, you wanted to talk about that. So by all means, I'm gonna let you start with, that's by it being Women's History Month and what that means. What should we be doing at this time?
Yeah. So, what made me really put some concentration and thought on that is the fact that today I was working and I was in back-to-back meetings, and it was just, so much going on and everything, because the whole virtual thing takes control, right? And one of my staff, it was a male, he
Mm-hmm.
sent the email out to the women on my team, and he said, "Happy Women's History Month." And I'm like,
Oh, I forgot.
yeah, like, yes, it is. Like, someone had to remind me, and what it did, it actually gave me a pause, and it gave me such a good pause. And I was so thankful to him for remembering, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, have we been working that hard? Have we been concentrating so much in our mind that we didn't even think about that, to wish each other that, right? So what it did, it made me also pause to say that as women, we need to celebrate us,
Yes.
because we don't take the time to say, oh, we did that.
Yes.
Oh, I
I
accomplished
did
that.
that.
Right. Like, I accomplished that.
Yes.
Oh, yes. I did that within less than a year. Oh, I forgot. So
Or,
it's so
or it's
many.
been a year already.
So it's like, it's so many things that we do,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yes, we are starting to celebrate women in history who have made history,
Right.
but we need to celebrate our own personal
Yes,
history,
ma'am.
because that's one thing that we don't do. I'm not saying that we can't celebrate each other, because I think we're doing a better job at that,
Yes, we are.
but we
We
have
are.
to celebrate self.
And what does that look like? Because to me, celebrating self um, is, for some people who have medical challenges, it's just the
Mhm.
fact that, I can get up in the morning. Some people on our broadcast understand, I lost my mother, but my mom towards the end would call me every day and she said, I'm still here. And I
Mhm.
didn't get it at first. And I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
mom, you're still here, but she was trying to let me know, I know I'm getting to the last days of my life. So I'm calling you to let you know I'm still here. And I was like, wow, without having to
Mhm.
say, this hurts. I can't do this. I can't do it. She was still saying, I'm still here. And that means a lot. So sometimes we have to say, I'm still here. I still have my business.
I still have
I
it.
still have it.
Um,
Yes, ma'am.
so I'm gonna tell you, one of the things I did, like, I have a book of positive expressions, right?
Hmm.
And so tonight I just want to read a couple of them, and we
Sure.
talk about like what comes to mind, right? So Alice Walker, she has a quote that says, "No person is your friend who demands your silence or
Ooh.
denies your right to grow."
Like, can we just stop right there on who demands your silence?
I
I
was like,
didn't
when
have to go any further than that.
look, I'm like,
Wow.
okay, Alice Walker.
Okay.
Like, some of these quotes that these wonderful women have made, they make you have to pause. But what it does, it makes you think about, who is supposed to have been my friend and
Yeah.
made me be silent? Mm.
Or why is it all the time that when I'm around a so-called friend, and it's male, female, what have you,
Mhm.
that in order to be accepted, I have to be silent?
Right. And I guess that's why you got this podcast about the conference room.
Back to my girlfriend that called me this morning. She's some, where she's at that stage where she's in year 1 through 5. And I
Mhm.
said, don't give up. This is not the time to give up. I said, the saying is 95% of our businesses fail in the first 5 years. And I said, you have to realize when you started your business, right in its infancy. And then what was about 1 or 2 years later, here comes COVID. I said, so that you have to check that and
Yeah.
recognize that is off the scales for everybody, good, whether they were in business a long time or not. So don't use that as a negative that your business isn't succeeding. I said
Yes,
the
yes,
fact
yes.
that you have contracts still is a good thing.
Look,
you
still.
know um don't right I said don't despise small beginnings. You keep moving forward and everything. And then she was talking about how this one person, they are sharing some work. It's like you're in the same industry but not necessarily in the same, as I'm now. I used to say the sandbox, but now I have a beach, and on the beach I got a couple of different sandboxes,
Mhm.
depending on what I'm doing. And so they share the same. They're really down to sharing the same sandbox, but her expertise is over in one area, and the other lady is in the other. And unfortunately, this other lady was trying to downcast her. Well, you've only been in business for a certain couple of years, and she said, "But I've been in the industry for decades." Because she was working for
Right.
another firm. And so you can't allow someone to discount your credibility, your ability, and your expertise. And so she said, and she said, I didn't come back negative at her. And I said, that shows you that she views you more of her competition than you do her.
Mhm.
I said
So
sometimes when people speak negative, or it's what we used to call them left-handed compliments, it's because they see something shining in you. And I said, when you speak, other people listen and they believe what you say because you're a voice of reason. And she happened to, be in a
mhm.
position where she was always on the news speaking for someone else. And she said, people would always say, well, and she said, I guess I have something. I said, no, you don't have something. It's just who you are.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
you. It's
Yep.
everything about you that people get. And I said, and so sometimes we have to speak into each other's lives to recognize the value that we have. And then once that person acknowledges it, we may have to write it down on them days when it ain't a good day.
Mhm.
My I'm good at this. You can
Yeah.
put, here's my list. This is what
Right.
I'm good at. We need that. And so this is the time for reflection, to refine ourselves, to get rid of those impurities and those
Yeah. So I'm
negative
going to
things
read
that
some
weigh us
more.
down. Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
going
Yeah,
to read
go
some
right
more of
ahead.
the quotes. So Helen Keller says, when we do the best we can, we never know what miracle is wrought in our life or in the life of another. And that made me think about the story you just told of your friend, and
Mm-hmm.
and being in that sandbox. She was doing the best that she can at that time
At
in
that
her
time.
life.
And sometimes we're doing she's doing a better job than she gives her own self credit for.
Hmm.
And if you don't have people around you to say, girl, you slammed that,
Hmm.
you just think, it was whatever. And it's like, no, that wasn't whatever. That was
Right.
awesome.
So
And
what you just said just now reminds me of this one, Diane von Furstenberg. She said, when a woman becomes her own best friend, life is easier.
easy. She has another quote. She's a designer. I mean, people,
Yeah.
the younger generation might not be familiar with her, but she was well known in the 60s and 70s. But she had another quote that was about self-empowerment. And it was something around, sometimes you just have to put something on just to feel good about yourself, and it's okay.
Hmm.
You got to sometimes dress up for yourself.
Look, that's why, who's this? Mary Catherine Bateson. She said, we are not what we know, but what we are willing to learn.
That's right.
So
That's
that
right.
speaks to what you just said, Carla. I'm telling you.
So one of the things I would like our audience to take, one of the takeaways outside of our quotes, because I'm sure you're going to give us some more before it's over,
Mhm.
but to use this 40-day period to think about I'm a one that says write it down. And outside of the biblical meaning of that, but I also know through the way people learn, when you hear things, you retain a certain amount of money, a certain amount of information. But when you write things down, that when you're hearing it and writing it down, that is the best way to retain your information. And even if you don't go back to it, just the fact that you did a process, it helps the brain to remember it. And so when you are going through this transformation period, write down what are the things that are holding you back. And not that you have to have the answer today, but what are the things that I want to do to get rid of those, to keep from being held back. Sometimes we are our worst enemy.
Oh,
we
yes.
we hold ourselves back.
Yeah.
Why won't I? And so
Right.
that's the time to investigate why you won't move forward with a goal or an idea, excuse me, or just doing something new. And then another thing is, what are the things that weigh you down that you would like to get rid of? And what are some things we can get rid of immediately, and some things is going to take a while. I looked up, because you always heard that you can get rid of a habit in 21 days, but research says it can be anywhere from 18 days to 254 days. So
wow.
I
Okay.
guess it depends on what the habit is, right?
I was gonna say, you took the words out of my mouth. I'm like, what's the habit? Okay.
It could be a really bad habit. So,
Yeah.
and then certain habits, it's just lifelong. I try not to speak negativity over myself, but I find myself doing that. So when I do, I'm like, nope, 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 and I have to say something else about myself positive, because I can be my worst critic. And so, that is something that's forever. But I work on it, and so
Yes.
this is the time to help yourself become a better you. So at the end of the 40-day period, we come out and we can just sail for the rest of the year. And I also would like to say, oftentimes people want to do this type of work at the end of the year, and what my goals are going to be come January, 1. You're trying to clean up the last year in January. You're trying to clean up your reports. You're trying to clean up whether it's business or
it's like you're doing a closeout. You're trying to close
That's the
everything
word I'm
out,
looking for.
get
Yes.
everything together. So let me close all of these items out,
Yes.
so then I'm not going back to them in the new year.
In January, you closing out, because you got to wait for December to do your closeout. So you don't have time to talk about what I want to do for the next year. I'm too busy trying to close out the year before. And then February, it's like, woof. So March is the month to do, how do I set my strategic plans short term, because the long ones are probably there, but those short term strategic plans I talked about, or short term goals that I kept saying I'm gonna. Okay, so now's the time to put the specifics, to get granular with them and get them in place, because that will help to move along those medium range plans, and then those long-term plans. And so if we haven't gotten to those new goals, that it's okay. March is about the time to do it, and to make it happen. You got another quote for us?
I sure do. I have Barbara Deming. The injunction, Barbara Deming.
Thank
The
you. Okay.
injunction that we should love our neighbors as ourselves means to us equally that we should love ourselves as we love our neighbors. So that goes to what you were talking about this is a time for self. This is a time for cleaning house. This is a time for starting whatever beginnings you want. This is a time for thinking about career moves. There might be some things in the closeout that you didn't finish. And it's part of your career moves
and your professional development. Even for those of us who are in business, we should. One of my colleagues that you know very well, Carolyn Moselle, says, well, we all know that professional development is a life learning process, but she said we should always put something in our strategic plan that's going to help us be better at what we're doing. It's part of your growth as an individual, or as a in your individual life, and in your business and professional life. And one of the things that was funny, Carolyn put down in her I think it was a Facebook post, because it was March 1st, and she said, she asked, what makes you happy? I'm happy when I do blank. And she said from her it was music, and I said me too. And it was earlier in the day, and I didn't get a chance to respond. And I love jazz music, and I can work when I'm listening to jazz music because I grew up on it, right? Well, a friend of my husband's works at a place that was giving away, actually going to throw some plants away, and the plants were healthy, but they didn't want it anymore. And so he said, do you want this plant? And I'm like, absolutely. And he said, well, you got to come get it now. And I was like, I'm in the middle of making my lunch. Okay, fine. Hopped in the car. I went to go get the plant, and I brought it home, and it was very tall. But when I brought it home, it was popping out of the plastic. Okay, there's something there when you are no longer fitting into the pot. Sometimes you got to get a bigger pot. It's because you're growing. You got to get better friends that think more like you, better surroundings. And when I pulled it out, it was really root bound, so it was crowded. And so I went through the whole motion, and next thing I know, I'm going to Home Depot, buying soil, buying all of the stuff to go with it, getting it. I got pots, right? I got the pots at home, and I'm basically being mama to the plant. And it was all done. I put them in 2 different pots, sides that all look pretty, took pictures and sent it to him. He said, I knew I gave it to the right person. And then the next day I answered Carolyn's face, and I said, I'm happy when I'm playing in dirt. When I'm playing in dirt, that gives me joy. And whether it's inside or outside, because right, and that's part of there she is. and mind you, for me, because in the summer I'm outside and I'm working with my vegetables, but it's winter, so you can't do anything. So the fact that that person gave me a plant, and it was an indoor plant, and oh my gosh, living room floor was full of dirt, whatever, but I was happy. And we need to find out what those simple things in life are that gives us joy, right? Yes. Years ago, I remember my pastor's wife, she said, what do you do for fun? I was like, I don't know. And what do you do for personal? I go get my nails done. I go get my hair.
That's right.
No, that's right.
That's not enough.
That's not enough.
That's maintenance.
That's maintenance. It really, and for guys out there, no, seriously, it's maintenance, because y'all don't want to see my hair all over the place. And I keep my nails short, but you need them short and neat, right? But what do you do for fun? I could not answer. What do I do for fun? But I do know, and COVID, that's why I survived COVID, that for my meditation and to get me through, I'm in the dirt. I got soil in my fingers. Yep, I'm happy. And I found myself in the car. I had to go get more dirt, and I was like, doo.
Well, you know what? That's one of the things that women can take away from this evening as we're celebrating, Women's History Month, is to find those things that makes you happy.
That brings you joy.
Find those things in your life that is not a routine of maintenance, but actually those things that can put a smile on your face or make you relax.
And a skipping, I said, not that I was skipping, but I felt internally like I was skipping. I was just like so happy. So yeah.
Yeah, those things that make you relax, and those things that can put you in a moment of zen, because a lot of times we need that moment of zen, just to prepare ourselves for the daily routines and things of that sort.
And for the meeting. Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
And so what do you suggest though, Michelle, for the woman like me, when I was asked years ago, I don't know. What would you suggest that for the woman that doesn't know what brings them joy outside of eating and going shopping?
So,
And when I say shopping, like we say the retail therapy, because technically I had to shop
mhm.
when I went to Home Depot, but you know what I'm saying?
No,
That
I know
also,
it. I know
yeah.
exactly
So
what you're saying.
what
And
what is
so
what do we need to do to figure that out?
I always say stop and think because we don't. As women, we are such excellent multitaskers, right?
Hmm.
And that's when we have to actually stop everything, stop all the multitasking, stop thinking about in 2 hours, this is what I'm going to do. Actually, just totally stop as if you're taking yoga and you breathe and you think,
Oof.
you concentrate on me.
And that might make
And
some
you
women
start
cry.
to, right. But the thing is, it goes back to what you said too. During those moments when we stop, this is the time when we think, and we may need to write things down.
Hmm.
And we might need to say, in the past, whatever time, what has made me laugh?
There you go.
Okay.
That's a good
In the
takeaway.
right, in the
Yes,
past, whatever, what
yes,
has put a smile on my
on
face,
my
and just
face.
start documenting those little things, right? And then asking yourself, what do I need to do to have more of that made me laugh or made me smile or put me in a zen so that I can relax myself, right?
Right.
And I think that once we learn to do that, because those are hard things to
They
do,
are. Hmm.
those are hard things to do. But when we try to practice to do that, we will come up with a couple of things that we can then say, you know what, those are going to be my happy things that I do just for me.
And I appreciate that. And we have to realize that it might take more than one session to get there. So
Mm-hmm.
if you
Yep.
find yourself crying, "Oh," because you're and it, what Teresa said earlier, purging can be empowering. And so before we can figure out what makes us happy, we do have to purge and get that, because we're like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, I didn't know that was I thought that made me happy, but it really doesn't. I'm realizing I'm masking. And it makes me think about the episode we had with Michelle Pettis about leaving
Yeah.
large. And she thought that food was making her happy when she was actually using food to mask pain.
Yes.
And so, same thing with retail therapy. You know, when we out there going shopping, I already and pick up. I already got these shoes. I already got these. I already got this headbutt. Okay, so that's not making you happy, right? That's a
Mm-mm.
mask.
I saved more money during COVID than any time that I can think of in the past 5 years. I didn't buy any shoes, no suits or clothes for meetings, nothing needed for travel. I mean, I could not believe the amount of money I saved. So it taught me a lesson.
I don't need it.
It taught me a lesson between want and need.
Need. Yes, ma'am.
And I'm glad I learned it because it gave me a financial plus instead of financial negative.
Absolutely.
So
And
that
it
was
was
some good
COVID.
homework.
And for COVID, for me, that's when I was doing some gardening, but then I really, because I had time and it was nice outside. And this was the thing that myself and my husband and some other people, we were saying, we were blessed because we have a home with a
Hmm.
yard. And he said, oh my God, if I was still in my apartment, I would have gone. I said, you would have gone crazy. I would have gone crazy in my apartment too. And so we started having, we really were feeling for people who are in situations that they can't get out of. And so
Right, right.
and we literally were praying for those, because we were hearing about people who are in bad situations, and sometimes you go to work to get away from the bad
Yes.
situation and negativity. So while those of us who are in homes or in a duplex, or in your own space, um don't take that for granted. And then some people had homes and unfortunately lost them during COVID. So we have to be grateful for those things that we tend to take for granted, and just be and then say thank you, God, I still have it.
Yes.
And that's why I also remember they said if you're in apartments or something, then at least get out and go walking, go do something. But again, it's based on weather. So we have to find things that don't either cost any money or cost very little money to bring us joy and happiness. Um, I'll be honest, playing in dirt does cost money, but I get to see afterwards. It's not like you eat it and then it's gone. But when you're purchasing different things to grow plants or to grow vegetables.
Mhm.
You get to eat the vegetables, and so there's a reward in that. But find things that bring you joy. A lot of people found their hobby, their crafts and hobby. One of my girlfriends really found out she was good at those sipping paints, and she just said, I don't have to go to the sipping paints. She started doing her own painting in her home and everything. So we have to find those hidden talents that were always in us and go
Yeah,
back to that to give us the joy that we need. And
I
that
agree.
includes people that are in business, because if you're like me, you'll do business every day, 7 days a week, and that's not good. So we have to try find a time to check out.
Correct, correct. I have one here from Anita Hill. She said, I did what my conscience told me to do, and you can't fail if you do that. So that sums up a lot about what you've been talking about this evening when it comes to finding and doing those things and coming up with different ideas and ways of looking at or approaching those types of things.
And our conscious,
Sometimes,
definitely, they say your conscious is your guide. That wasn't
yeah.
cliche. It's real.
Right.
It's real.
Sometimes you have to scream. Lena Horne says, don't be afraid to feel as angry or as loving as you can, because when you feel nothing, it's just death.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay to feel like you were saying. Sometimes some of the things will make you cry.
Wow.
But you
Mm-hmm.
know what? Be thankful that you're allowed to be able to feel.
Amen.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Like, amen for real.
Amen. Um, by this being Women's History Month, there are a lot of I've been noticing there's a lot of things popping up on the calendar,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean I want to participate.
That's true. That is so true. I mean, the calendars, the reminders, Eventbrite. I mean, it's just so much stuff. You have a lot of events on Facebook, saying come out and do this and that. You get email invites. And it's almost like a bombardment. So I have to look at it in a positive or negative, right? It's either
Mhm.
bombardment because I just got so much other stuff to do, or it's just the distraction I need to help me to
Hmm.
choose something different.
How about that? I would thought you were going somewhere else. Okay, go.
No, I was thinking it's just a
Okay.
distraction I need. The Eventbrite popped up on my email and it says, here are some events we thought you might like. And normally I just click delete and keep on moving to the next job that I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing.
Mm-hmm.
And this time I just was like, I'm gonna see what they're suggesting for me, and the suggestions were so good. I wound up going to an event that talked about women and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And what does that look like in your workplace,
Oh,
right?
I know that event. Yeah,
It
I
was
know that
really
event.
good.
Yes.
And I was like, see, I would have never thought to say
Mm-hmm.
I want to attend or, listen to the two women talk about that. And it was doing a good time. It was a lunchtime one. So I was like, you know what? I might have to start doing something different and not be so routine.
So with that, I'm going to say thank you, because I get the pop-ups on Eventbrite and I'm like, I don't have time. They trying to tell me something I want. And then later I'm like, oh man, that was going on. How I missed that? Because I wasn't looking at Eventbrite.
I
Oh
know
man,
what
how
you
I missed
mean.
that? How come ain't nobody tell me about that?
I
Well,
know exactly what you mean. You know what? We got some folks that got some comments tonight. I
yeah,
want
I've
to
been
say thank
posting them.
you.
Yep,
Thank you, chat, for tuning in. Teresa, thank you so much. And Carolyn, look, we know you a faithful watcher.
that's right.
Okay. Kamal Hubbard, thank you for saying Happy Women's History Month. We really
And Kamal is
appreciate
all the way on the West Coast. I'm really,
it.
it's great to have those connections and everything.
It
Absolutely.
is. It is so
Mhm.
good to see and to know that people tune in and that they, want to hear what we have to say, want to tune into the guests that we have. Let me tell y'all something. Carla works very hard behind the scenes to ensure that we have some really good guests and topics for each month and everything. She does such a great job.
Okay, so this is
To
what I have to
plan
do. Like,
this.
okay.
I know, right? Trying to plan this, but I like for people to know what a
Excuse
great
me.
job you do. This is Carla's show, and she loves it. She embraces it, and you can tell that she takes ownership because you can hear it. Her passion about the topics that is chosen and the people that come on is for real. It's not just, oh, let's just make this or do this. No, it's actually thought about and it's
Yeah.
planned out because we care about the topics that you're hearing being discussed.
And with
Hello,
that,
Mary Lou.
and with that, the can we can talk about what this month is, why it's so important because of some of the guests that we're going to have on this month. It was about our health and wellness and our mental health. So
Yes.
can you share with the audience
Okay, let me
um,
get my
who,
paper.
who our
Yep,
guests
I
are
got my
going to
little
be?
paper. So,
Mhm.
for this month, this is maintaining your personal health for the business sake. We're in March, so of course tonight is the second, and we're talking to you about individual women's health,
Yes.
celebrating the beginning of the month. Starting new things. Hey, if you do Lent, do the 40 days to do other things for yourself. Um, Next week on the 9th, we're going to have Rhonda Fields, Rockin' Bodies. Rhonda, you are going to be amazed by her. I'm not even going to say what her age is, but she looks fabulous. And she's going to tell you all about, her physical fitness classes and the things that she does, not just for the younger women, but for us older, mature women. And
So wait a
every
minute before you go. Is she the one that you posted something on Facebook and she was jumping up and down on those?
yes,
Girl,
yes.
I got tired. I honestly was like,
Let me tell
I
you,
got tired looking at
she
her. I was like,
is so amazing. That's
oh
why
my
I'm like,
gosh.
I don't know if she's gonna tell us her age when she comes on, but I don't want to say it. But
Right, right,
you
right,
will
right.
be at like, oh my gosh, right?
Yes.
Then we have Vicki Johnson. You have a Vicki
Hmm.
Johnson coming in for mental fitness and wholeness.
Yes, and she is an account. She used to be kind of high up on the marketing side with BET back in its glory days,
Wow.
and
Okay.
she has something called Soul Wealth. It's her own business, and
Okay.
it's talking about the wealth of your soul and why
Wow.
that is so important. So this is almost, well, all the things we're talking about is like a precursor to the various guests
Yes.
we're gonna
Yes.
have. Yes.
On the 23rd, we're gonna have Yolanda Hayes and Sade Cutler. They just opened a brand new recovery center. It is woman owned and it's
Yes.
called Rosie's Recovery Center. I think they're going to be having a grand opening ribbon cutting on the 13th, the 12th or the 13th of the month.
Okay.
So we're going to be excited to hear about their new facility and everything that they're doing. And then to close the month out, on the 30th, we're going to go back to total wholeness and wellness. And we're going to have Francis Gusta Boone of Reinvent You Spa and Fitness. And Francis is doing a little bit of everything.
Hmm. You showed me with some of this. I was like,
She
"Ooh,
is, I'm going to
what
tell
got
you,
going on?"
her facility, like not only does she do the training and the classes, but she has the spa things for the facials. She does a detox for your body, for your feet. I mean, oh my gosh, she has the teeth whitening. She just has so much going on for the total woman, for the
Yes.
total woman.
And again, all of this is during the month of March,
March.
which we're talking about. It is Women's History Month, but it's also a time for us to transform ourselves to be a better person, to be a better you, so you can show up. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and just really do what you need to do. So Mary Lou Posa is a very good dear friend of mine. I'm in the state of Michigan, right outside of Detroit, and so when we talk about how we assist one another, I do my weekly check in with her just to run different things and ideas about our business and where we are, and then we get personal sometimes because we've had parents passing away or getting sick,
Mm-hmm.
and how do we manage and navigate that. And so it's not always business. It's good when you can have a business colleague that then becomes your friend, and you can talk about that. And when you have people from around the country and different persuasions, you learn from people that are not like you, because you don't need to have conversations with people that are just like you need somebody else to say, nah, baby girl, you need to change that perspective and do better. And then find out how other people view whatever the topics are. So I love having people of different backgrounds, different ages, different religions, and different ethnicities to learn from them, because it really makes me a better me. So,
oh yes, oh yes. But I'm gonna
yeah.
tell you something. We all need someone like each other, like we have, because we need to have, as Teresa picked up, mental fitness. We need to check in on each other, to make sure that we're doing okay. Because most times women will say, "Oh, I'm fine."
Most
Oh,
times, pretty much all the time.
I'm fine. I'm
Fine.
good. Oh yeah, girl, it's fine.
I can tell by certain people by their voice. Mary Lou is one. Carolyn is another one. You another one. You can tell what I can tell by the way you say hello or how's the day. Well, all right, let's talk. Or whatever I wanted to talk about business, it can wait, because I need to check on my friend. I need to make sure
Yes.
they're okay. And then sometimes it's just a matter of I got it out and now I'm good to go. But sometimes you can't do that with everybody.
Mm-mm.
Um, I had another conversation with a dear friend of mine, and she said, when you see me in these pictures at these events, it's because I'm working it or I'm there with my husband. She said, I like staying at home, and I get it. And so when I talked about a friendship that she has with someone else that's very public because of what they do, she said, yeah, I'm not with the public side, but I'm her person. I'm the one that when she needs to not be on spotlight.
Yes.
That's she's that girlfriend. When you just need to be, you know, hair down, makeup
Hair
off.
down, let your hair
Yeah,
down, no makeup.
literally.
I'm just
Yep.
like, girl, this is what's
Girl.
up.
And
This is what's up.
this what's up. And even for even for my friend, she says, she said, I could just tell by her body language, this is not a good thing. You okay? And she's vulnerable enough, or not vulnerable, but they have such a connection that she can
Yeah.
tell her no. And she's like, I got you. Let's go. Let's get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And every woman needs a friend that says, are you okay? So when you say no, let's go. And then
Yep.
if somebody say, what's wrong? There ain't none of your business. We out. Every woman needs that,
Mm-hmm.
because there's this facade that we put on that we have
Yes.
to do what we have to do to be successful in our careers and our business. But there's another part of us that's just like, I don't want to be her today.
Right. Because look, I used to tell my I used to tell my staff at my other job, I used to tell my staff, the managers, I used to say, I make sure that I get the best actress award every day. Every day. I get the best actress award. Because when I get home, that award goes on the shelf.
It might be in the car. I might leave it in
No,
the
no,
car.
and the real me just comes out, right? So sometimes we have to do that. We have to do the best actress or actor award.
Mm-hmm.
Because not everybody can be up in that personal. Not everybody can be, how you say, in that first circle, that we
That
have.
inner circle.
So,
That's right.
you have to win that award for that time, right? So I was like, oh yes, I was the best actress today. Took
I
that
know your
award
staff
home.
said she is crazy. But we get it. We all get it, because we've all
Mm-hmm.
had to manage staff. And even if you didn't have to manage staff, even if you're on the phone, I used to be a customer service rep. And I'm just being me. I will never forget this conversation. I was a customer service rep for an insurance company. And and that's why I said I used to hate my voice, because you know who I am when you're talking to me on the phone. I'm raspy, it's deep. I don't have one of those high frilly voices. And so my supervisor, after I was done with the call, she said, Carla, I'm like, oh God, what did I do? She said, I'm listening to you. I'm seeing you, when I'm walking past your cubicle. I know you're having a great day. I know you're fine, but you may have to smile while you're talking to people on the phone. I gotta smile. She said yes, because my inflections, it's like I don't know, I didn't come across as being cheerful. And I've learned through customer service techniques that smiling does help to make you sound better over the phone.
Yes.
But I felt like, I can't ever get it right. And I'm being vulnerable. But sometimes, it's difficult. I just want to be me. Why I gotta fake it? But you gotta fake it on the phone. Hi, how are you? This is Miss Nelson. That's not
Mhm.
me. But if that's what I have to do to get the
Sometimes,
job done until I can
right.
get
It's
something
like
better.
getting the job done. It becomes part of the territory,
Yeah.
because the thing about it, it's like walking into that boardroom, sitting at that table to have that conversation. You might not be having a good day, but they don't need to know that.
And it reminds us of the conversation we had with Jackie when she said
Mhm.
that she said, I already know. She said, yeah, they already know I'm walking in a room full of men, and then some of them know I'm black, but yet she's the top of her field. That was
Yes.
so specific. And she said, I know when I walk in the room, they got to deal with me just because I'm tall. And when you said, well, how tall is she? I said, she's 6 feet. So she's taller than a lot of men in the room.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And just as graceful, she could dress
Mhm.
down and you still gonna notice her when she comes in the
Yes.
room
Yes.
because of
Yeah.
her aura. And
Mhm.
and we shouldn't have to play that down, but we do have to be aware of how that makes other people feel in the room. And sometimes we do have to tone it down in order to get what I really want. So
Mhm.
I'm not going to be false, but if I have to tone it down just a little bit, okay, because sometimes you can't come in full blast. They ain't ready for
Mhm.
that.
Mhm. Mhm.
You got to give it to them in little pieces and everything. So there are so many things that we as women have to be cognizant of as we are navigating ourselves on a daily basis. But I like it when you said the Best Actress Award. You say I'll get an
Mhm.
Oscar today and a Tony tomorrow.
Hey, it's like, what's going to make me win? And so sometimes that's the mind frame you have to be in.
Without losing your integrity.
That's right.
Mhm.
What's going to be my winning game today?
Yes.
And the thing about it is, when you are mentoring, when you are training and coaching staff, you have to teach them that we all have bad days, but not everybody has to know it.
How about that?
And so it's like, how do you mask a bad day? What is it that you do to motivate yourself just enough
Just
to do
enough
what you need to
to
do,
do. Right.
to get it done, and then deal with what you need to deal with later, right? So those are different things that I try to coach and teach on, because the work doesn't stop.
Stop.
When you have that 9 to 5 or whatever, 9 to whatever job.
Some of them are 3 to 11, and then
Yeah.
12 to 7
It's
shift.
so
Yeah.
right. It doesn't stop. You have to show up, but how do you show up?
How do you show right?
It's
And in
it's
order
about
to
how.
show up our best selves as possible, then all the more reason why we have to take that other time for us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if the saying I had of some male friends, they used to say, that sometimes the drive home was the time to decompress. But depending on where you live, it's just as terrible
Right.
because you you're freaking out in the traffic going home. But sometimes I had one male colleague that said he would just sit in the car because he knew once he came into the house, it wasn't even so much for his wife as it was for the kids. The kids don't get
Mm-hmm.
it. Daddy's home, right? And it's
Yeah.
playtime or whatever. And mom or whatever, sometimes mom is there, sometimes not, right? But daddy's home, and whether they're little toddlers that don't get it or they're kids that are in school and they need help with the homework, you have to find the time to take care of you. And it might be in the car.
Right. Right.
you
Because I'm
know,
gonna tell you, I used to love to listen to the radio, because by 5 o'clock they tone it down, right? And so I used to say, I'm loving this drive at 5. It's getting me in the right frame of mind for when I get home. I'm not feeling stressed out. I'm going to get there, do some dinner, and just, unwind.
Yes.
Because when you cannot unwind, then you start going
You
into
still wound up.
right. Then you can't sleep.
You
You're
can't.
not preparing your mind for prayer. You're not preparing yourself for a good evening to go into a good
Night
restful
sleep.
sleep.
Yes. And your
You
body
know?
is literally like this,
Yes,
tensed up.
tensed
And
up.
that leads to a lot of physical damage, damage to our bodies. We're not able
Mm-hmm.
to eliminate, we're not able to breathe right. There was a time period when I realized I wasn't breathing. I was taking short breaths. I wasn't getting full deep breaths. And yoga helped me to like breathe in, breathe out, and
Mm-hmm.
do that. So you did mention yoga earlier.
Yes.
Yoga doesn't always mean you have to go into the crazy poses. Yoga can just be breaths,
Yes.
taking your
It
breath,
teaches you about relaxation. Right?
relaxation.
That's the best part about learning how to be silent.
Say that again.
That's the best part about learning how to be silent, because that's the healthy part about being silent.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing when to slow your brain down. Because now, Carla, you can talk 50 words a minute. So that's why
You
I'm like
probably did tonight.
slowing down to relax your brain, because I know how hard you work. I know how hard you work.
Yep,
And that relaxation becomes very important,
it does.
especially women. We multitask to death. Okay. Let me say one more thing. I got Ella Fitzgerald here.
Woo!
She says, just don't give up trying to do what you really want to do. Where there is love and inspiration, I don't think you can go wrong.
How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Can you say that again?
Oh,
Because
yes.
that was a nice little nugget right there.
Yes. Ella Fitzgerald. Just don't give up trying to do what you really want to do. Where there is love and inspiration, I don't think you can go wrong.
So with that bodes into how this show came to be. It was something that I wanted to do, and I didn't have a podcast. Some of my friends know I've had a radio show decades ago. I did television when I was with the city of Baltimore, and it was for small minority businesses in Baltimore City, because I'm always about trying to highlight the work of our smaller contractors, and
Mhm.
to talk about, that's my passion, and I talk for a living. Um, but then when a couple of my girlfriends was telling me I needed to do a blog, I don't feel like writing, right? Because I can write, but it's easier for me to talk, and I talk, as you all have seen in this hour, and then one of my girlfriends said, "Well, what about a podcast?" I don't want to have. I'm thinking I don't have time. So but mind you, it was in my head. It's already in the atmosphere. God already knows. And so what happened when the opportunity came? Miss Michelle said, "I think I have somebody," and you didn't
Mhm.
know that was a
Mhm.
passion and a want.
I never knew.
You
Never
never
knew.
knew.
We had never talked about anything like that.
Talk
We
about some
just
other
did
stuff, right?
the whole business thing, but any of that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm like, "Oh, God is so good, right? He is so good." Like you said, you put it in the atmosphere. You didn't know who it was going to get to.
And when it was going to come,
That's
and
right.
how it was going to come. But
Hmm.
I have learned, and I am learning to not force certain things, because once I've written it down,
Hmm.
that's what works for me. Once I've
Hmm.
written it down and I've jotted down what's in my heart, then in due time it'll come. Certain things are certain, you work on them little by little by little, and other things that are desires, you just write it and let it sit, and when it's
Right.
time, it will manifest. That's
I
another
agree.
nugget for somebody who needs.
I know, right?
It'll
Absolutely.
manifest.
Absolutely. So I have another one by Ruby D. She
You got
said,
all the ladies. You got all the powerhouses, man.
I
What
was
is this
just trying
book?
to flip through my little positive book here, and Ruby D says, The kind of beauty I want most is the hard to get kind that comes from within your strength, your courage, and your dignity.
Your strength, your
Your
courage,
courage and your
and your
dignity.
dignity.
Now,
And
I
once you
love
get
that.
those, you do not give up. They're once,
Mm-mm.
because they're hard to get, and or even to realize what my strengths and my is, and what am I courageous is, and
Mm-hmm.
in and some people don't understand their own self-worth. But once you do,
Okay, now. Okay.
I'm not giving them up. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. I just, I think that once again, going back to the celebration of women's history, I really think that we need to set some time
For
in our
us.
lives to celebrate us. And it don't have to be in March.
How about that? What was the song "Me Time"? I need some me time. Was that Heather Headley? I think it was, or something like that. I just
I
need some
think
me time.
it is.
I ain't mad at you. I just need.
Right. And I'm like, don't get me wrong. I know each month got a little something going on for celebration. But just like we don't want to celebrate Black History Month just in February, it's 365. So we're celebrating your own history. You understand? You could be the matriarch of your family,
Family.
celebrate that
Absolutely.
because that's
My
a big deal.
so with that, because we got a couple, I'm gonna say my some people know I have brothers and sisters. We all have the same fathers, different mothers, right? But all the kids look alike because all the mamas look alike. But my younger brother, his birthday he's on February 22nd. So by this being 2/22/2022, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, this is a special day for you, right? He said, I didn't think about that. So I sent him a little quote that I found for somewhere, and and I said, "What are you doing for your birthday?" And he said, "I'm doing what I do every year from now on. I go see my mother and I celebrate her because I ain't do nothing. I just popped out. She did all the work." I was like, I like that,
I like that.
I
Yeah.
said, "Well, would you go
Yeah.
give her a kiss and a hug for me?"
Yeah.
And he said, and he said, then when I talked to him later, I said, how'd it go? He said, she called me like, where are you? Because he said he takes flowers to her and we spent some time and everything. He said, I got to her late and she called me like, where? Because she got used to her, him doing
Mhm.
that. But I just thought that was just beautiful. That's the way he's spending his birthday, is going to celebrate his mom for bringing him into the world.
I
And
love it. I
I love it
absolutely
too.
love it.
Yep.
I love it.
And
I
it was kind of okay with me and my mom, because she told me I was her birthday present because she had me a couple of days after her birthday, so we tended to do
Mhm.
things together, but I hadn't thought about it the way he described it. And I just thought that was just beautiful. So
I
yeah.
think it's beautiful too. I'm going to do one last one because I know we're getting ready to close the show out. And this talks about what you were saying about, women and us being happy and finding our happy space. This is by Alice Munro. She says, the constant happiness is curiosity. So when I think about what she said, I'm
Hmm.
like, as long as we stay curious about what it is that we want to do, should be doing, it's going to make us happy in some type of way. One of those curiosities is going to put a smile on our
Smile on
face
our face. And
or
then
a
you
piece of
stick with that
joy
one.
in our heart. That's right. A
And
piece of
stick with
joy in
that
the
one.
heart. So I'm
Absolutely.
going to tell you, I really enjoyed tonight with you. I enjoy every time with you on the show,
Thank
but
you.
I
I
think
enjoy you
tonight was
too.
extra special, because we got to open up the month, talk about all the wonderful guests that we're going to have. We got to say the things that we felt from our heart
Heart.
for women to think about in their heart when it comes to their happiness and just taking a breather and celebrating themselves.
It's nothing wrong with celebrating self. We need to do it a little bit more and know that we are
Yes.
okay. We are
Yep.
okay. If nobody else has told you, Michelle and I are telling you tonight, you are
Yeah.
okay.
You were
You
okay.
are good enough. Keep it moving, keep it growing, and just happy Women's Month, happy March, all that wonderful stuff. So with that, thank you so much for joining
Thank
us on
you.
Conference Room Conversations. If you are looking at us at another medium other than YouTube, please go to YouTube and find Conference Room Conversation. Click the like button and subscribe. Always looking for people to subscribe. If you have a topic that you would want us to talk about, then you can put that in the chat section, because we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're a lot of different places right now, which is a beautiful thing to have. And as always, we want to thank Black USA News for the platform and allowing us to be on here every Wednesday. And with that, have a good night.
Good night, everybody.